Good morning. Okay, I think we should start because I think we have reached some kind of 50% of people I expect today. That's fine. We should reward those who show up on time. Let me first say a few words in terms of organization. We're on April 4. Actually on Wednesday we've covered a lot of ground, which is good. Because as you remember, or those who were here remember, that we've spent Tuesday on reviewing balance of payments issues, and then on Wednesday we were very, very quick, right? Which is good. And the problem set was indicated that people, by and large, understood what this was all about. Now today we'll finish the third presentation, and we'll go into the fourth presentation, which is about overlapping generations models and EBA. EBA is the external balance analysis of the IMF, which nicely puts to work all the concepts that I introduced in previous lectures, right? So yesterday we had a brief chat at the conference about, you would like to see more numbers. Actually on Tuesday I presented a lot of numbers. We'll come back from theory to application in that part of the lecture. We'll certainly not finish the fourth presentation today. It will, well, let's see how far we get. After the lunch break, we'll do problem set 3, which is again one of those things where I say, okay, here's a result that I present in the lecture. Please derive it. Then we'll discuss the problem, and then we'll have a weekend. I'll probably take off as fast as possible because I have to catch the bus to Ho Chi Minh City, again, the orange one. And I was told that it usually leaves earlier than indicated, so I don't want to be the one who just sees it leave. So I'll, yeah, but now the issue is Monday, and Monday I've been told that Monday is a holiday. Now I was surprised by that, and I'm afraid to say we can't have it as a holiday, right? Because otherwise there will be a day missing, right? I'll literally use a leave on Friday night, so after the last class, I'll take off. I take a taxi, go to the airport, and then So there's very little scope. Yep.
Just for the Monday.
Yeah.
Because we have the national holiday, so I cannot keep my kids out of kindergarten. So if I can get your favor that I can bring my daughter.
I would actually, I would, if no, that's perfectly understandable. And actually, you don't know what's going on behind the screens, right? There's emails from Ann, who's supporting me, then Dr. Ha, and he, actually that's why I showed up some minutes late. He made a phone call out of the taxi to the airplane and said, look, we have one participant who has a child. That's perfectly fine. So you're welcome. And actually, if your daughter is not too bored, you might actually bring some crayons or something, and we'll cope with that. And you're most welcome. That's absolutely fine. Sorry, I know that it's kind of taxing to teach on a holiday, but yeah, the next week will be very intense, and we might be actually very quick. But I'd like to leave some time buffer time for Friday. Also for, question and answers. You might go over the material and say, look, I didn't understand this, I didn't understand that. We'll also do a mock exam, which is not an exam situation. It's just another problem set that indicates what the exam that you will write far away in August, as far as I know, might look like, right? So and then we'll discuss that, and so that's the idea. But you're very welcome to bring your daughter. And students in Germany do that as well. Yeah, it's not usual, but it's something that, actually once I had to bring my own 4-year-old to a lecture I gave, and then I bought a lot of comic books for him and said, okay, you sit in the first row and you go through this stuff. Yes. Now the funny thing was I was there in front of 500 students, and I was constantly watching my little son, and then he was gone. And then at some point I was looking around, and then he stood next to me on the, I had this little stage, and he was standing next to me and asked, when will this be over? And students started laughing and said, yes, and I said, probably that's what you are asking yourself as well. Okay, good. Okay, so please bring her, and the others will be here. This will be a very solitary place on Monday. There is an issue about the air condition, because I think we find a room where it's not too hot, but that's something that Dr. Haas said he can figure out, right? So you'll probably get an email, maybe today, maybe over the weekend. Maybe we'll be here, maybe we'll not be here, but we'll be somewhere on the campus. Okay, thanks for your understanding. Good. Okay, so let me say a few words about yesterday's conference. And actually, when Dr. Ha announced this conference, I thought, yeah, this is pretty disruptive, and so. But he said, of course, I was happy to present my stuff and to participate. And then yesterday, during the conference, I got more and more pleased by the whole thing, because I think it was a terrific opportunity to see what is the rationale for what we're doing here. I'm not talking about this Excel thing here, but I'm talking about this, right? The international macro that we're doing here. There's the overarching theme was how to turn Ho Chi Minh City into an IFC, an International Financial Center. And there were presentations from people like Michael Binder, Michael Haliassos, myself on various aspects of financial integration. I talked about exchange rate regimes, Michael Binder about the effects of financial integration, Michael Haliassos about wealth mobility, and then we had these practitioners' presentations where it was about kind of the infrastructure, basically. And I particularly liked the presentation by that person from this law firm. This is a completely different thing, right? But these are the guys who turn into regulation and laws what other people have brought up as concepts. And what I liked about this gentleman was A, his competence, and B, his humility, because he said, look, folks, you know what is the driving force behind all this. We try to implement it in terms of writing legal texts and generating the framework. He made one little mistake, I don't know whether you realized, and I was about to look around and said, he called the financial account the capital account, right? Don't do that, right? He was talking about capital account liberalization, which is a misnomer. But apart from that, he was a super interesting person, and a very nice person too, and a very candid person, and I was really impressed by him. Of course, I was also impressed by my colleagues, and then I was also impressed by these two urban planners, because they showed that, what's behind the financial center? And of course, you could argue you want to bring people here who, find housing, who, can play golf on the weekend. But the second presentation, what it was about the core of the issue, which is gigantic investment needs in Vietnam, right? And how do you finance that? And you finance that because there's a need, right? And you finance it by tapping international financial markets. And you need an infrastructure for that. And that's the whole idea behind the IFC. I don't know whether you remember my answer to that panel question when the Turkish colleague said, do you think that this is going to succeed? And I said, look, the IFC is not a goal as such. It's a means to an end, right? Being an international financial center is something that makes it easier for firms, for the government to get funding for those gigantic investment projects. That's the simple logic behind it. And I think just to have an IFC because you want to have an IFC is not a good idea, right? But to be an international financial center because this allows you to, or allows firms to have access to finance and